A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear viewers to the show, think about it. As always, if you enjoy the content of this show and if you think that something is brought to you which gives you something to think about, please hit the subscribe button. If you have any ideas, any topics in mind that you think we could cover, talk about, do research on, leave a comment, give us a call, let us know. We'll do our best, inshallah. With that, today we're going to be talking about something very important, and that is related to every single one of you, including me. And that is sabotaging ourselves. So yes, we end up sabotaging ourselves very often and sometimes knowingly as well. Our story kicks off by a father who goes and he picks up his son from school. Son sits in the car and they're talking with each other. Father asks, how was your day at school? The son says, the day was good. I did this activity. I did this. I did that. And they're going on and on and on and on and on. Silence takes place. And then the son looks at the dad and says, Dad. And the dad looks back and says, yes, son? He's like, do you think you could be better? And the dad, ears shoot up, becomes a bit weird, but what do you mean? And the son says, do you think you could be a better person? And then the father says, what, do you think I'm not a good guy? Do you think I'm a bad person? And the son says, no. I'm just saying, do you think there's something that you can make yourself better at, or your personality could become better? And now this father is thinking about all the things that he does and what he could do better and how it is, and then father says, yeah, son, we could all be better. So then the son says, how? What should we do to become better? And basically, that's the topic of the show today. That's what the show is about today. How could we become better and not sabotage ourselves? So basically the topic of the show is sabotage yourself. We end up sabotaging ourselves on a daily basis. How so? Modern day research states habits, behavior, work, plans and goals, mistakes, and ego. These are 6 things that sabotage us on a daily basis. And if not daily, then at least bi-daily or weekly. So how do we move forward without sabotaging ourselves? Sometimes we have some habits that aren't really the best. For example, we might have a habit where we bite our nails. We might have a habit where we crack our knuckles too much. We might have habits where we drink, gamble, smoke, or do alcohol, whatever it is. Na'udhu billah. A lot of things that people do that aren't really the best for our health and not the best to even present yourself as a person. And then we have behaviors sometimes. When people talk to us, or when we meet somebody for the first time, or the way that we talk to our friends. So just the attitude we have, and the way that we use language, and the way we use our tonality. Tonality means how high we speak and how low we speak, rising and falling intonations. Sometimes we very clearly and very easily, somebody calls us up and like, yeah, hi, what's up? Or if there's an issue, what did you say? Do you know who I am? What's going on? Sometimes our tonality isn't really the best. And because of these things, obviously, we're sabotaging ourselves. Because then people end up looking at us in a certain light. And when people look at you in a certain light, the only way they look at you in a certain light is if you behave in a certain way. If you have behaved negatively, people will look at you negatively. Unfortunately, sometimes we behave negatively thinking that we're not behaving negatively. Make no mistake. When your intonation, your voice rises, when you taunt someone, when you say something to prove a point or to look smart and cheeky sometimes, you don't give off the best vibe of yourself. Basically, what ends up happening is that you give off an image to someone. Make no mistake, people always judge. regardless of what the situation is. They judge you by the clothing you have, they judge you by the way you speak, they judge you by the way you explain things, they judge you by your attitude, by the look you give. You get judged no matter what you do. So sometimes behavior is something that we can work on to at least present ourselves in a better manner. Work. Sometimes people let work get the most or the best of them. So we talked about work-life balance in the previous show. Sometimes people work too much and they think that they're building a future and they're doing something for their children and the next generations. But when you work too much, sometimes you compromise time with family. You compromise time to do other things that will help you breathe and help you work on your own personal life. And then there's plans and goals. So someone has a plan that they want to do something. They're so blinded and so focused on their plan that they might end up missing different opportunities around them. Then there's mistakes. People make mistakes in the past. They can either learn from them or say that, yeah, I made a mistake. I don't want to think about it. Sometimes it's good to reflect on mistakes. You don't need to go about sharing and publicizing the mistakes you've made and this is how I learned from it. No. If it's a life lesson you're giving to someone who you're intimate with, someone who you trust, it's a different scenario. But you don't go around publicizing mistakes that you've made or that other people have made. You can learn from them, of course, and you can work on yourself. And the last part, and the most dangerous part, is ego. Ego is something that, to an extent, every human being has to whatever level that they have, smaller or bigger. So these 6 different points are things that help, I shouldn't say help, but basically facilitate sabotaging people. And when people sabotage themselves, the only way they sabotage themselves is that they end up accepting that they can't do anything about it. They end up accepting that, okay, yeah, I have this issue, I have this thing, I don't know what to do, I don't know how to accommodate, or they keep thinking that I'm going to accommodate it later. I'll do it later. I'll do it when this time passes. I'll do it when my course finishes. I'll do it when this project finishes. I'll do it when I get time on the weekend. I'll do it there. They keep putting it off. Can we be better today from our current situation? I leave that question right now to you because we're going to take a break, and when we come back, I'm going to prove from these 6 points how we can be better. Because all of us can be better. You and me. Take a break, think about it, we'll be right back. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back to the show, Think About It. So we left off talking about sabotaging yourself. And we talked about 6 different factors that contribute quite widely and in a majority to this. Those 6 factors were habits, behavior, work, plans and goals, mistakes, and ego. These 6 things contribute to us sabotaging ourselves. Sometimes mistakes are important because they help us understand things, but that's only if you're open to reflecting on your mistake. Of course, that doesn't mean you sit down and you talk about your mistakes to people. As I said previously, you don't go around publicizing it. Egos. Sometimes we have a very big ego on us. We do something and might not have been right, and then we have a conflict with someone, but we're not going to say anything because we have an ego, and we're not going to talk to them properly. And we're going to have, I'm where I am. Not the best method and not the best approach to take, to be honest. Because what ends up happening is when you have an ego, you end up blinding yourself from a lot of other things. And so you end up shooting yourself in the foot in more ways than one. And then there are habits. People have habits. We talked about some habits that people might have that aren't so good. And it could be from the most minor things to the most major things, things that can be regarded as sins as well. Now, how do you make yourself better? So I'm just going to give you some very, very simple, discreet, and short advice, inshallah. And I hope you guys can take something from it and then hopefully use it. Or write down more things in the comment below that contribute to factors of sabotaging yourself and how to come over them as well. And if we're able to overcome them, we make a better tomorrow, we make a better person, and guess what? We make a better community. And thus, inshallah, in turn, make a better world as well. So, it is said that if you highlight and focus on one thing that you feel that you could be better at, let's say that you're a person who doesn't say thank you that often. You do something like, oh, could you give me some water? Cool, yeah, cool. You get the water. Oh, dude, could you do these reports? Could you do this? Oh, yeah, I told you to do this, do that. Oh, have you finished that work? Okay, good, good, good. Instead of that, if you start focusing on one thing, just say thank you every now and then. Could you get me some water? Oh, thanks. Oh, did you finish that report? Are you done with it? Oh, thanks. Thank you. Hey, could you get me that? Oh, thank you so much. When you start focusing on one thing and try to make yourself better, number one, you've made yourself better, because even if a fraction or even an iota of you adopts something where you're trying to put an effort into making yourself better, you have become better. Simple as that. But when you do it with one thing, you end up feeding into more things. So once you've mastered thank you in this example, you can master sorry if you don't say it. If you bite your nails too much and you refrain from it, there's going to come a time where you're not going to do it anymore. If you have a habit of overlooking things or not noticing things, and people have said that, how come you don't notice this? How come you don't notice me? How come you don't do this? How come you don't do that? Try to put an effort into noticing those things. Try to put an effort into knowing those things. If you're able to do that and you keep trying, there will come a time when you will better yourself in that manner. And once you've done that, you can definitely better yourself in other things as well. The idea and concept is that on a daily basis, at least, pick one thing. Not every day pick one thing, but pick one thing. And every day, try to practice that same one thing that you want to become better at. Slowly and easily, you will find that you'll be able to not only just accommodate that one thing, but you'll end up accommodating many more. It's like an example that I heard a long time ago when I was a child. When you're washing dishes, and you take a look and you're supposed to wash the dishes and you see a huge pile of dishes, you're like, oh my God, how am I going to do that? How am I going to wash these dishes? That's too much. But when you start washing those dishes, even though it looks like a huge task, and you start washing them, and you come to the end of it, you turn around and you shout, if there's any other dish in the house, any plates or any, cups or glasses, bring them over, I'm cleaning the dishes. You're willing to do more. The moment you start putting some effort in, you automatically start seeing fruits. What fruit do you see first is that you become more active. When you become more active, you're able to engage yourself in different things. So, our 2 cents on this show. Be active and put in effort. All of a sudden, you'll better yourself. With that, the question is, can you be better than what you are today? Think about it. Thank you very much for tuning in. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.